Have you ever wondered why a simple memory can suddenly make your heart race? Or how you manage to stay calm during a stressful presentation? The answer lies in one of the most fascinating control systems in your body, your brain's emotional command center. Today we're going to explore how this incredible 3-pound organ orchestrates every feeling you experience, from the flutter of excitement to the weight of sadness. Think of your brain as a sophisticated conductor leading an emotional orchestra. Every emotion you feel is the result of an intricate dance between different brain regions, each playing its unique part in this complex symphony. Recent research from Stanford University and Dartmouth College has revealed some groundbreaking insights about how this process actually works, and the findings are quite remarkable. Let's start with the star performer in this emotional orchestra, the amygdala. This small almond-shaped structure tucked deep in your brain acts like an emotional alarm system. When you encounter something threatening, exciting, or emotionally significant, your amygdala springs into action faster than you can consciously process what's happening. It's constantly scanning your environment, asking the question, is this safe or dangerous? Should I care about this? But here's where it gets really interesting, Naik. Your amygdala doesn't work alone. It's in constant communication with your prefrontal cortex, the brain's CEO, if you will. This region, located right behind your forehead, is responsible for higher level thinking, planning, and most importantly for our discussion today, emotion regulation. Think of it as the wise advisor who helps you decide whether that initial emotional reaction is appropriate or needs to be adjusted. Recent studies have shown that when you experience an emotion, your brain goes through a fascinating two-phase process. In the first 200 milliseconds after encountering an emotional trigger, there's an immediate burst of activity that spreads throughout your entire brain, like news traveling through a network. This is your brain's way of saying, hey, something important just happened. Then, over the next 700 milliseconds or so, a more targeted and sustained pattern of activity emerges in specific emotional circuits. This second phase is what actually creates the lasting emotional experience you feel. What's truly amazing is that this same pattern occurs in both humans and mice, suggesting that the fundamental mechanisms of emotion have been preserved through millions of years of evolution. It's a reminder that emotions aren't just abstract feelings, they're deeply rooted biological processes that have helped our species survive and thrive. Now let's talk about how your brain actually controls these emotions. The prefrontal cortex doesn't just observe what the amygdala is doing, it actively regulates it through a process scientists call reappraisal. When you consciously try to change how you feel about something, specific areas of your anterior prefrontal cortex become more active. These regions are involved in abstract thinking and long-term planning, which makes perfect sense when you think about it. To regulate an emotion, you need to step back from the immediate feeling and consider alternative perspectives or future consequences.
Here's a practical example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic and running late for an important meeting. Your amygdala might initially trigger frustration and anxiety, but your prefrontal cortex can step in and help you reframe the situation. Maybe you use this time to mentally prepare for your presentation, or you remind yourself that arriving a few minutes late isn't the end of the world. This cognitive reframing actually changes the activity in your amygdala, reducing the intensity of your negative emotions. The connection between these brain regions is crucial. Research has shown that people who have stronger functional connectivity between their amygdala and prefrontal cortex are better at regulating their emotions. They're more resilient when facing negative experiences and less likely to let temporary setbacks affect their overall well-being. This connectivity can even predict how successfully someone will be able to manage their emotions in the future. But the brain's emotional control system involves more than just these two key players. The anterior cingulate cortex helps monitor emotional conflicts and signals when regulation might be needed. The insula processes the physical sensations that accompany emotions, that knot in your stomach when you're nervous, or the warmth in your chest when you feel loved. The hippocampus provides context by linking current experiences to past memories, helping you understand why certain situations trigger specific emotional responses. What's particularly fascinating is how neurotransmitters, the brain's chemical messengers, influence this entire system. Dopamine affects your motivation and reward processing, serotonin influences your mood and emotional stability, and norepinephrine modulates your arousal and attention. When these chemical systems are balanced, your emotional regulation works smoothly. When they are disrupted, you might experience conditions like depression, anxiety, or mood disorders. Recent research has also revealed something quite surprising about the amygdala. For years, scientists thought of it primarily as a threat detection center that needed to be controlled by higher brain regions. But new findings suggest that the amygdala responds to emotional stimuli in the same way, regardless of whether you're actively trying to regulate your emotions or not. It's actually the cortex that's doing most of the heavy lifting when it comes to generating and modifying your emotional responses. This discovery has important implications for understanding mental health. Many psychological disorders involve difficulties with emotion regulation, the inability to appropriately adjust emotional responses to match the situation. Depression might involve an overactive negative emotional system that's resistant to positive reframing. Anxiety disorders might stem from an overly sensitive threat detection system that sees danger when none exists. Understanding these mechanisms at the brain level opens up new possibilities for treatment. The good news is that your brain's emotional control system is remarkably plastic. It can change and improve throughout your life. Just like physical exercise strengthens your muscles, practicing emotion regulation techniques can strengthen the neural pathways involved in emotional control. Mindfulness meditation, cognitive behavioral therapy, or even simple techniques like deep breathing can enhance the connectivity between your prefrontal cortex and amygdala. So while your brain's emotional control system might seem complex at first, the core idea is simple. You can learn to influence how you feel by understanding and working with the fundamental mechanisms of your brain. Think about the last time you successfully talked yourself out of a bad mood or managed to stay calm in a stressful situation. What you are actually doing was engaging this sophisticated neural network using your prefrontal cortex to modulate the activity in your emotional centers. Every time you do this, you are strengthening these pathways and becoming better at emotional regulation. The implications of this research extend far beyond individual well-being. Understanding how the brain controls emotion could lead to better treatments for mental health conditions, more effective stress management techniques, and even insights into how we can build more emotionally intelligent artificial systems. It's a reminder that emotions aren't weaknesses to be suppressed, but rather sophisticated information processing systems that can be understood, appreciated, and skillfully managed. As we wrap up this journey through your brain's emotional landscape, remember that every feeling you experience is the result of millions of neurons working together in precise coordination. Your emotions aren't random or uncontrollable. They are the product of an incredibly sophisticated system that you can learn to understand and influence. The next time you feel overwhelmed by an emotion, take a moment to appreciate the remarkable biological orchestra playing in your head and remember that you have more control over the music than you might think.